So good.
Talented.
So good, Gab.
Just over 5, not bad. Oh, you know, I loved all the kind of, it was a more powerful song than the one you did last time. Last time, was it a cover?
Yeah, last time I didn't know what I was going to do, and I had just done that before a mad gig, so I just kind of went with it. But that was a bit better.
Yeah, cool. It was awesome to hear more from your voice. You got a lot of power, and there were some really intricate little trills in there.
Thank you so much.
D minor, welcome.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Why is that?
Oh my God.
How is everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Oh God.
That was amazing, by the way, that performance.
Sorry, I just got a text message.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm going to hand it over to Izzy and Shakira.
Hi. I'm Isabel, and Kira, I don't know where she is, but Kira's my co-host. And thank you, Jemina, for joining us. So this week's topic is songwriting and networking. So we'd just like to get off. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. My name is Dimana, and I guess what I do is I love to songwrite. I love to write music that that kind of inspires people, that kind of people that can have an impact on people. And I know that a lot of people go through struggle and adversity, and I feel like my music is something that I love to speak on, and I love to speak, like, draw from my experiences. Yeah, so I love to songwrite, produce my music, and yeah, record.
Does anybody in the group have any experience with songwriting? Or I think Gab does. Well, Gab obviously does. Yeah. Does anyone else have any experience?
Oh, sorry.
Does anyone else have any experience with songwriting?
Sorry, they were all muted. Now they're not.
Oh. Does anyone have any experience with songwriting?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay. Just wondering. So can you just tell us a bit about your music journey, D minor?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my music journey started like ever since I can remember. I know that like music for me is what helped me survive. I know that like growing up, I experienced homelessness from the age of 11. I experienced a lot of kind of negative upbringing, and music was always there to help me survive. And that's the earliest stage I can remember of it. I would chuck on some headphones and just escape from whatever was going through. And I know that I think everyone would agree that like music is powerful. Music has the ability to change emotions and help with emotions. So I feel like being able to draw from that, and that was my experience. And then I just that was something I wanted to pursue. And I guess I always say I encourage people to find something that they love to do and pursue that. And for me, it was music, and I pursued that, and I wanted to I guess do that more and more. So and then I enrolled myself into university at the Australian Institute of Music, studied music. Actually, you know what, I started out doing like all these little TAFE courses doing music, because I just wanted to learn how I can do songwriting, how I could produce, and just start doing music. So that was that. And then just progressed, and then went to the Australian Institute of Music, and then here I am on Zoom with you guys.
What's been your biggest career highlight?
My biggest highlight, besides being on Zoom right now, I would say I won a gold medal for Australia at the World Championships of Performing Arts, which was in Los Angeles. I competed in this rap division. This was like in 2016. I competed in this rap, and I wrote this song that was based about my life experience. And I ended up bringing a gold medal for Australia. So that was one of my highlights. I would say the other two highlights for me was going on Australia's Got Talent, and I guess just connecting with a wide audience to be able to share my story. That was something that really helped shape me. And releasing Concrete Pillow, which was a song that kind of speaks really in depth about my story. It was featuring Ali Simpson. That was definitely a highlight.
That's so cool.
We're running a bit ahead of time. So if you could teach us 3 things about like songwriting or networking, what would those 3 things be, or tip that you would give?
Yeah, I feel like networking and songwriting is very much aligned at the same thing. I know for me that networking is like, I guess, being authentic to myself and reaching out to other artists. I know that collaboration for me is massive. So I feel like I know a lot of artists actually that I've met that are just big on kind of doing their own music and putting their own music out. And that's great. But for me, I feel like collaborating with other artists and mixing like different talents. I know that when I started out doing music, I was collaborating. I took everything. I was doing doing this rap over like rock songs. I was like just collaborating with any artist that kind of reached out. And I feel like once you kind of progress, you can sort of be a little bit more picky. But yeah, for me, networking was massive through collaboration. So collaborating with, I guess, Ali Simpson, with Zeke Power, just trying to, I guess, use that kind of chorus rap song for me was sort of that, that Eminem, Rihanna sort of style. That was sort of something that I loved, and I was like, oh, I want to try and do like an inspirational rap, but then have like these female lyrics over top of this chorus, or like a male lyric or whatever it was, just this singing, because like I don't sing, so that's why I got someone. But yeah, that was sort of something that I loved. But yes, and songwriting. I feel like songwriting. You know what? Firstly, I feel like reaching, because you have to reach out to these artists, and for me, reaching out to these artists, it's like it's something that I feel like is beneficial, because what's the worst that's going to happen? They're just going to say no. So I feel like reaching out to these artists to be able to like, I would say have something ready, prepared. I know that I had this track ready and I sent it to them, and I was like, this song is basically finished. Just kind of would love to put your lyrics on. And I feel like every person that says no, every 10 person that says no, you're probably going to get one that says yes, or you will get one that says yes. And I feel like that for me was really important, being able to use songwriting, and I feel like collaborating with the right artists as well was important. And I feel like when I would approach these artists, I would firstly compliment them on their music and say that I'm a fan and I like what they do, etc., and probably talk about one of their last songs. And then I would say, oh, by the way, I'm also a songwriter. I'm also an artist, and I'd like to share what I do as well. So yeah, that's sort of a bit about how I would sort of network, and that sort of, I know, along with like attending events, obviously not now, but like going to actual music events and watching live artists and stuff. That's sort of something that is really important as well. Yeah.
After COVID, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Izzy, your turn. She's mute.
She's muted.
She's still mute.
I think you both unmuted at the same time.
Oh, I don't know why I was doing it. I have a quick question. Is it true that you got stuck at 96.1, the Edge radio shoot station, with no toilet paper and had to ring Dom?
No, so this was a prank that I did on iHeartRadio with Kanan from, I don't know if anyone even listens to that, so I don't know how you found it out, but good homework. But yeah, no, I was at 96.1, the station, and we thought we would do a prank. So they're like, who can I prank? And I had no, I was like going through my list. I was like, a prank, and I called a few people like off air to see who would answer. And then I was like, oh, Dom, he always usually answers. Dom knew I was at the station, so he knew that if I was going to give him a call, it'd kind of be something to chat about, so it'd be a bit serious. So I was like, oh, let me call him. And so we called him on air. And this was the hoax that I was in the bathroom. We had run out, the station had run out of toilet paper, etc., etc. And then Dominic was live on air, and he was like, oh, see who you can do. And it was just a funny moment. But that is not a true fact. That was a stunt. Yeah.
Yeah, well, someone requested that.
Good job on finding that, because no one's ever found that out. But yeah.
That was a requested question by Anonymous. So with songwriting, because a lot have heard your songs, how do you put emotion into your songs? Without overpowering or like overdoing the amount of emotion you put in a song?
Yeah. You know what? I feel like
Yeah.
I don't really yeah, like I don't mind sharing my story. I feel like there was a period of time where I was very like I just wanted to kind of be, I don't know, normal, whatever, but I just didn't want to share my story. But I feel like the only way I could share it was through music, and I just kept that to myself. And then and then I feel like I'd share that as I got older a little bit more. And I feel like people responded and people feel like it was kind of making an impact. So that's when I started to release my music. But I feel like, to your question, I feel like don't be afraid to talk about raw things. I feel like the more raw and more authentic it is, the more people can relate to, and everyone can relate to something. I feel like everyone's been through some situation. So I feel like whatever you've been through, someone has been through, maybe not something specifically, but everyone struggles, whether it's big or small. So being able to put that into a song and speaking about, like, I feel like the more raw you can be, the more people can relate to it. So I feel like, and also you don't want to talk about stuff that you're not comfortable with. So you don't really want to put stuff out you're not comfortable with. Just go to your limits. But yeah, I would strongly encourage you to like write about that. I know growing up for me, that was a great way to express what I was going through. Was just to release any I don't know, any negativity that I was experiencing. I would just put on my headphones and write some music. So yeah, I would say don't be afraid, write it, and then you don't even have to release it. It's just a good way to express it. Yeah.
That's some good advice. So how do you turn a personal experience into a song that like people can relate to? You already touched on that a little bit, but
yeah, I would say start with the title, so or a theme, so whatever you're talking about. So for me, if I was going to write a song, which I have, but if I was going to, for example, like Concrete Pillar, I know I spoke a bit about, I wanted that to be about like youth homelessness and experiencing that, and sort of touching on that, and like kind of like talking about foster homes and talking about actually being in that environment. So I would start with the title. Then I remember writing this actually. I wrote how it made me feel every situation, like what it was like, and I talk about like cold nights and how I used to sleep next to bakeries for warmth, and I talked a lot about like actual living in that moment, and what I felt, instead of like from my perspective, instead of like a third person. I just feel like it was a bit more relatable. But yeah, I would say start with that. I feel like a lot of rhymes. I don't know how, I know a few of you guys haven't really done songwriting, but for me, I try and focus on this rhyme pattern called it's like sansa. Sansa, that's it. Where it's sort of like you go, your first, second, and fourth words will rhyme. Sansa. Something like that. But your first, second, and fourth lines will rhyme, and that's sort of my pattern. I feel like that's sort of something that I'd follow, and I feel like the way that I can like kind of bend words to talk about different sort of dark points is sort of something for me. So yeah, back to your question, I would definitely say go for it. Yeah, don't be scared, because you don't even have to release it. It's sort of something that you can just store up and keep yourself. But it's a good way to express what you're going through.
I don't have this on my list, but I'm just wondering, do you have a lot of songs that you haven't released that you're like too scared to release, or you just haven't finished?
Yeah, I would say that not too scared to release. I would say that I have a lot of songs which just I haven't released yet. I just I've written songs when I was kind of going through some of these situations, which I just haven't released because I just feel like they're not really who I am today. And I feel like if I was to release them now, that like I feel like practice songwriting definitely, but I feel like practice patience as well, because this like doesn't happen overnight. So I feel like where I was and the songs I've written are not to a standard where I feel like I'd be happy to release.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I do have that. And I feel like on another point I just remembered, like coming back to approaching people, I feel like it's good not to just say, hey, here's my music, like check out my music. I feel like that's a saying that when I went on Australia's Got Talent and I came off Australia's Got Talent, a lot of people would message me saying, check out my music, check out my music. And I just feel like I didn't. I feel like I would check out people's music that would say, oh, hey, I'm also a songwriter. This song, speaks a bit about my struggle as well. Check it out. And then I feel like I'm like, oh, cool, I check it. So I feel like just kind of typing a personal message as well to people as well, and just sharing what your song is about is definitely more approachable. And I know, and I haven't really done that to people, but I know that getting messages sent to me and kind of going through them, I kind of picked out ones. Not that I had to, but I just feel like that was something that captured my eye. So I would definitely encourage you guys to just write something a bit more personal instead of check out a message, because you just feel like it's a generic one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not being arrogant.
Totally. Yeah.
Hopefully my audio is better. I changed to my phone. Okay, I'm just not going to use my computer anymore. So now that the music industry is in lockdown, thanks Corona, what are the best ways of networking?
Yeah, well, online. I feel like online's basically the only thing you can do now. That's basically the only thing you do now is online. So just whatever it is, like I feel like it's so simple nowadays, just connecting through like Facebook, Instagram, and just messaging people, and just as I said, like sending a personal message and saying, here, this is what I do. This is a song that I wrote about my life, or whatever it may be. Check it out. That's the only way. But I feel like at a point, I feel like messaging, I feel like messaging the right people. Like you want to know who you want to collaborate and why you want to collaborate. Like I feel like for me, I look for people that's also going to help. Like I guess the main reason you want to collaborate for me is to create great music, but on a side note, is to also like build a fan base, because if you're building a fan base, you're going to get more people listening to you. So I guess for me, picking artists that kind of complements that, that would kind of flow well. I feel like it's a big shot, but messaging artists that you kind of look up to, or something like that. So it's definitely all online. So Instagram, whatever it may be, is probably the best way. That's what works for me. So I'll usually slide into some artists DM and share my music.
Yeah. And what kind of people do you think songwriters should reach out to in the industry? If you had to tell us, Eddie.
Yeah. Well, I feel like other people that are creating music, I feel like it's just get a feel for it. So messaging other artists, like whether they're like local artists, international. I know for me, I collaborated with a lot of artists. I used to collaborate just when I started out with a lot of like underground artists from like overseas, from like LA, just wherever it is, because it's just so easy. You can just send files back and forth and use like WeTransfer or like Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever it is, to just transfer files. Just drop files over. It's good to have something ready, prepared to send to them. I know a lot of times I've messaged artists coming up and I was like, hey, you want to do a song? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. But nothing's really happened because you don't really have anything prepared. So I would say have a song. For example, Home Run. I had Home Run, had the song finished. I had both verses, and then I just needed someone to sing the chorus. So it's sort of like fishing around, finding someone. You might go to one person and say, you'd be great, and they might say no. And it's sort of just fishing and finding the right person online. And that's what makes social media so great, because you can connect with so you can send this message to so many people. I know that I sent this to like a crazy amount of people, like even artists that are like in like Nashville and stuff. I remember sending it to and just saying, you guys want to jump on this chorus? But it's that's all it is. It's just it's something that takes a lot of it. Well, it doesn't even take time. I feel like it's something you just got to stick with. And just don't be discouraged when people kind of turn you down, and just kind of keep moving forward and just find someone else.
This isn't on our list either, but what is your best advice for someone who's just like been rejected, like in the industry? What would you say?
You know what, I feel like, because my brother says this to me sometimes, like, do you not care when people like say no, like, and like when people message me like negative stuff about my music, or whenever I see comments online or anything, I'm like, that doesn't get to me, because it's not my, like, I just look at my bigger picture. My bigger picture is to create music. Like, that's what I love to do, and I'm not necessarily creating music for them or anyone. I'm creating it for myself. And but yeah, so I would say that just don't let that don't let that bother, like, don't let it get to you, because like it's just that you just got to go one more time and that one person will say yes. So it's not really I would say not focus on that. But I mean, in saying that, it's bound to happen. People you can't please everyone, and people always, that's always bound to happen. But yeah, just keep moving forward. Yeah.
That's good advice. So we're a bit ahead of time. So is there anything else any tips you'd like to give us before we move on to anyone else asking any questions? Or
Yeah, you know what? I might just, I know that I did have some other stuff just about my songwriting and how I do it, because yeah, I always find that everyone does it. Everyone writes music differently. For me, my process is that I need to have a theme or whatever it may be, and then I need to find because I can produce my own beat, but usually I would produce a beat, or I'd find a beat around that theme. So if I'm going to talk about something a little bit more sad, I'm obviously going to find a beat that kind of complements that theme. And then I'm going to start just writing. Usually I'll jump on the mic. I know some others do this as well. Jump on the mic and just freestyle. So freestyle singing, freestyle rapping, just freestyle melodies or whatever it may be to get a feel for it, like for like the whole entire song, and then just listen back to the song and you kind of like, oh, that worked. I do that like basically a lot. Like I know I'm in this process right now of writing a song, and but just the other week I would just jump on my mic and just, like, I don't even think about it. This is before I even start writing. And then I'd pull from like, oh, that kind of flowed, that melody worked, and then just pull from that. That's how I write. Yeah.
cool.
I have a question. I just thought of one.
Uh-huh.
Has there ever been a time where you've kind of like had some throwaway bars and then you kind of like put them together in one song?
Yeah, well, like all the time. I have a thing in my notes, and my notes from my phone is synced up to my laptop. But I have a thing on my phone where like when I think of stuff, like wherever I am, I'll just write some stuff. If something pops in my head, I'll write something in my notes. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool bar. And then when I'm writing a song, I'll usually go back to all those notes, and I'm like, oh, what will work for this song? And I'm like, oh, this will work. And then I usually pull that. That works. I never really write a song from like top to bottom. Like I'll never just start and then it just flows. I don't think anyone, maybe some people do, but for me, my page is everywhere scattered. Like stuff is all over the place. Even when if I have to write it in my phone, I've got like, if someone was to read it, they wouldn't understand it. I would, but they wouldn't. Yeah. So yeah, I do have throwaway bars.
That's cool. Okay. So, Emerald, what would you like us to do, because we're up to the last part?
I think we could just open it up if anybody has questions.
Does
anybody have any questions for him?
D minor?
There's really like so much. I've got to think of one, but there's like so much I could ask you, because like I really do like admire like how hard you've worked and like where you've gotten to. So there's like, I don't know. I just want to say thank you for like jumping on here. Like this has been really nice. I'll think of something. But
I'll think of something.
Just that comment. I feel like I was listening to this podcast the other day, and you just reminded me that you can have like, people have like, so many people have talent. Like people have crazy amount of talent, but I feel like you could outwork someone with less talent with hard work. I feel like for example, there's obviously crazy more rappers out there, but I feel like being able to working hard and kind of being your own manager as you start out is good. I feel like, yeah, hard work can beat talent. Yeah, I just remember that. But yeah.
How many different roles would you say that songwriters need these days? Like you say, you kind of have to be your own manager, have to do your own PR, all that.
Yeah, you know, when I first started music, I started doing everything myself. So I would like make my own beat. I would then write my own lyrics. I would then record my own self. And I remember I used to record on this like really crappy mic, and I used to have this coat hanger, and I used to kind of pull this sock over this coat hanger. So it's like what is it called? Like a spit guard, a pop filter. And that's what I did. I started with that, and then I would go out and shoot my own music video, like on a phone and on a tripod. Like this is obviously none of this is online, so don't worry about looking for it. But but yeah, that was what I did. That was like a long time ago. I used to do that, and I feel like that's what just, I guess, being on people's radar and just having so much stuff when you're starting out. for me that works. But yeah, having your eggs in many baskets, being able to also not just be a songwriter, but you also got to be like your own admin, and just being able to just communicate with a lot of people. Because like I know that everyone here, obviously, like you guys have some great talent, but I feel like a lot of people have talent, but it just sort of sits at home. You kind of need to get your talent out there. Like in general, for anyone that has talent, that it just sort of needs to be out there. It's not, no one's going to see it from your bedroom. But yeah,
That's good advice.
That was good advice.
I have what's been your best, like your favorite film clip to like film, or your favorite artist and your favorite artist? Sorry, like to work with.
artist. All right, my favorite film clip. Well, I mean, it's a good question. My favorite film clip, I would say Home Run was my latest one, and that was my favorite. I went to Stockton Sand Dunes. I don't know if you guys know where it is, but it's up like near Newcastle, Stockton Sand Dunes, and they're crazy. Like they've got like this tent city that's like in the middle of this desert looking place, and we filmed there. And you can only get there by driving on the sand on a forward drive. So I got to go, yeah, it was crazy. So I got to do that with like Zeke, and get to walk these sand dunes. I guess that was crazy. That was really fun. My favorite artists, well, I have to go with Eminem probably as like my favorite artist, just the way his ability to be able to shed stories. But yeah, let's go with Eminem. He's my favorite artist. Yeah.
I guess that's what I was going to ask. It's like, I was going to ask like who really influenced you, but I'm going to guess.
I feel like growing up, I didn't really know who was like a hot artist, like who was like popular. I feel like I used to go to like the Vinnies and to like the Salvation Army when I was like young, and I used to like get these CDs, and these like CDs would have like this instrumental at the back, and I'd put these CDs on, and I would like float this instrumental, and I didn't know who they were. And I'm looking back now, some of them were like Eminem, some of them was like Jadakiss and Fabulous, some other artists, but yeah, so it was basically any artist that would kind of share a story, because I love like songwriting. I feel like songwriting for me is sort of the way I rap, and I know many other rappers rap like differently, but being able to like share a story is also what kind of keeps people's attention, and people be like, and what can relate to people. So songwriting for me. So to your question, any artist that kind of shared a story in their music, whatever it may be, like any genre, that was an artist that kind of influenced me. Storytelling, yeah.
We had a guest a little while ago, Pat from JMC, and he was talking about how every artist needs to find their point of difference to stand out. Is that something that you have consciously done as D minor, like really thought about who is D minor and how does he stand out, and what is the essence of D minor for you?
Yeah, I wrote something down just before. Well, I can't find it right now, but I feel like being yourself is definitely. I feel like there's no point trying to be another artist, because there's already another person out there. There's no other you out there. So yeah. So I guess being yourself is important. I know that. Actually, that reminded me, a lot of people, when they would send like songs, like say, hey, check out my song, they're like, hey, check out this song, I sound like G-Eazy, or check out this song, I sound like, I don't know, like a few artists that I never heard of. But, and I was like, oh, but like, I feel like being yourself, like if you're like, if you're, hey, check out me, I feel like, yeah, so being authentic is important to me. So yeah, knowing who I am, knowing what my music stands for. Yeah, and I feel like I wouldn't create a song that would kind of ruin. I feel like image is important. Having an image, even though it's not really about that for me, it's about music. But that comes with it. So having image, and for me, having my image is sort of like I love to create inspirational music. So I feel like I wouldn't ruin that by creating different kinds of music that wouldn't align with my values. So I feel like having strong values in your music as well, and knowing who you are is important. But yeah.
Anyone? Okay, I have heaps of questions. Oh no, I just forgot. Oh yeah. Have you always like rapped about inspirational things, or have you like what?
No,
I don't know how to word that.
mostly. I mean, I mostly wrote about like anything that like what I go through. I know that a lot of my music, or early music, I would talk about. Like I don't really talk about like popping bottles in the club sort of music. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, did you used to write all that sort of rap?
no, not really. I mean, like, yeah, not really.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I've written like kind of dance tracks, like, but yeah, not like that. But yeah, I've written other stuff. A lot of my other stuff that I've written is sort of like still like meaningful and deep, but it sort of like speaks about anything. Like, yeah. I mean, I haven't. Yeah, but to your question, yes, I have written other music.
Okay.
I haven't released it.
Maybe after we've had a chance for everyone to ask whatever questions they want, you could break down one of your favorite songs that you've written and tell us the story behind it.
That'd be cool.
A song that I haven't released.
Any.
Okay. Sweet.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Hello, my name's Libby, and I used to live on the Central Coast and go to a lot of the mad groups. And I met D Minor because we did a song, Hello, together, all that like ages ago on Nightly with Tom Ballard. So
Yes, we did.
that was awesome. Thank you so much for having me on board. I still think about that, and it was a really cool experience.
No, thank you. People still like people that I speak to about that say that your voice was like it was just like it's just you get lost in it. It's like an angelic voice. You just sort of like it just takes you places. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think I got to get a bit carried away because I think we ended up getting Hamish and Andy's dressing room like after they'd had it.
Crazy.
And I was like, I've made it. I'm famous. Like, this is the height of success. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, that was a cool day.
I think it's really cool. So it's been amazing, like watching your journey since then and seeing how far you've come. And also, like, I want to congratulate you on kind of, keeping a message really consistent. I feel like you're someone that, you really know what you're about and you know what message you're trying to get across. And I think that's awesome because people can rely on that. They're like, wow, this guy really believes in what he's saying. And like all your videos and all your online stuff kind of really reflects that. So
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Which wasn't a question, but
no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, but if I did have a question, it'd probably be with maintaining that consistency. Did you have a moment where you're like, all right, this is the direction my music's headed in, or was it always like kind of a one step at a time kind of process?
Yeah, it was sort of a one step at a time. That's a really good question because I know a lot of artists that I've worked with and they'll just jump from like different sort of vibes, and it's hard to sort of like follow their journey because like some music will sit well with you, some don't, and I guess it happens with any music. But for me, I just knew that my music I wanted to create was I had a vision. Like I knew what I wanted. Like I knew that I want to create like inspirational music, and I feel like everyone that people can relate to. So just as I said, like writing raw and authentic music for me, and just releasing. I guess for me, when I started out music, I used to do quality over quantity. No, I used to do quantity over quality. But for now, I feel like I try more work on like the quality of music that I pull out and the quality of the quality of like film clips or whatever, posts or whatever it is, being able to have like good quality stuff just over like just chucking out anything. Because I know that when I started out, that was great just to get people's attention and to know that I write music. But yeah, over time, just focusing on quality is important to me, especially now.
For sure.
Yeah. I think I was way off on that question, but
no, that's awesome. I think so many artists, there's kind of this pressure to be putting out a consistent amount of work and, and growing as an artist and growing in your skill set. But there's also needs to be room, I think, to kind of sit back and take stock of what you've already got, what you've already done, and kind of think, okay, well, you know, I'm proud of this, but how can I challenge that? How can I move forward?
Yeah, I
kind of balancing.
Yeah, no, that's good. I feel like definitely be proud of what you've done. So many people wouldn't even have the courage to do that, and I feel like that was sort of something that I didn't do for a while. I just was like, oh, I'll put this out, and then I would always question it. But I feel like being proud of what you've done, because like that's something that you've created and that you've put out there. Like it's not an easy thing. Like I know, like a lot of like even myself, like being able to put a song out there that talks about it's maybe something deep like that. That's sort of something that, you know, a lot of people would kind of not do and hesitate to do. But yeah, be proud of the music you create because it's yours. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have one more. How do you think of D minor as like your artist name? Like, how'd you come up with that?
D minor. This was my first name's Daniel, so this was a nickname that was in school. My teacher would call me D minor, and I play keyboard as well, like just like nothing serious, but I play keyboard, and like going to the Australian Institute of Music, I learned like all the scales and all the music, and I feel like and D minor is one of the saddest chords. People often refer to it as the saddest chord, and not that I'm a sad person, but I feel like I wanted to write something that kind of like related to my story, and used the D from Daniel, and yeah, it just stuck. It's just something that stuck, and then yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's all the questions I have. I'm done with questions.
Okay.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Do you want to start your song? Tell us what song you've chosen and explain it to us.
Sure. I chose a song. I'm gonna pull up the lyrics. The song's called I'm gonna do Concrete Pillow. Because this was the first song that I basically ever wrote. Like this was basically the first song I wrote, but I wrote many songs in between that. But this was, and then ended up just releasing this one. And this song has basically been like years in the making. So it's on, I don't know if anyone wants to pull it up, it's on Genius, so it's on Google, Concrete Pillow. But it's a song that, the way I wrote this song was I just wrote, like if you were to hear the first version of this song, which I probably have somewhere in some paper, in some drawer, this would be a completely different song. Like actually be similar, but different. I know that I started out this song with like verses that went for like, this is before I knew what song structure was and that this verse and this chorus. I started this song out with like probably like a 36 bar verse, which is like a long verse, and I ended up having to cut it down. But for Concrete Pillow, I wanted to create how I started the song. I know that I start, for example, my first lyric is for me, it goes, I know it's hard to see the future and imagine it's bright. I have dim my lights down, I keep crashing at night. This was sort of before I found out proper like rhyme sort of things. I know that there's a technique to rhyme schemes and everything, but for this I just started out as in I just rhymed 2 lines every 2 bars, just rhymed at the end. So I know, imagine it's bright, crashed that night, I'm highly distorted, don't try to avoid it. And I just wanted to make it as raw and authentic as possible. And I remember writing a side, I had a piece of paper and I'd write everything that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about sleeping next to bakeries. I wanted to talk about foster homes. I wanted to talk about putting newspaper underneath my jackets on cold night. I want to talk about a lot of raw and authentic things. So I wrote this down, and as I was writing my song, I would pick something and that's what I'd write about, and I would use that for like 2 to 4 bars. And I'd go to the next thing. I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I cover this in the song. So I picked that, and that was basically the whole song. And then the chorus, Dominic helped with the bridge of that, and Ali Simpson, and we recorded that, and that was sort of something that, and I wrote this, I wrote the chorus because I wanted to keep it something simple, and I wanted to talk about like leaving. there's this thing called call and response where you kind of have a verse and a chorus and they're kind of conflicting. I kind of did this similar because I wanted to talk about the struggle in the verses, but then in the chorus talk about leaving it behind and leaving behind this concrete pillow, and kind of moving forward. But yeah, that's sort of that structure on Concrete Pillow. Yeah, I didn't really overthink it. I feel like overthinking it too much can sort of be a bit of a killjoy. So just being able to just go with it and whatever, yeah, just go with what you create because it's your work. Yeah.
That's so cool. What the hell? Like, not all artists do that. They're not all like so raw in their music. So that's really cool that you do that.
Yeah, that's funny. There's a lot of people make that comment as well that music's raw, but it's not really something like. It's not something I subconsciously think about. I'm like, oh, I need to make this song raw. It's just like I just want to like that. It's my way of expressing. And I know growing up, and I feel like that played a massive part. Like growing up, that was my go-to. Just having a pen and just escaping. Like back then, I didn't realize that I mean, I enjoyed it and I wanted to do something with it, but obviously being in that situation, I didn't know that it was possible to progress with it. It was just something that I just wrote and was like, this is the way I express. And I feel like that tool there helped me where I am today, being able to express. Back then, what I was going through music is now what I use for my tool for music. Yeah. But yeah.
That imagery of you sleeping outside a bakery to stay warm is so powerful. I think that's the one thing that keeps sticking with me. How do you recommend that we look at our own lives and pick those moments that are going to make great lyrics?
Yeah, I feel like there's so many topics that you can talk about. Like for me, that was homelessness. I feel like I've also, I guess that what's another topic? I feel like I could pick something else. Like for example, well, a lot of stuff fall under homelessness, like foster homes and. Well, let's go with homelessness. That for me was what I wanted to write about because it's mostly what I experienced. So for me, I wanted to. That's why I wrote the list, and I was like, I want to talk about the things that I hated while going through that. And I know that sleeping next to bakeries was something that like I was very graphic in my mind. I had a whole list, and I remember this list to some degree. And in the list, I talk about how I used to sleep in like. Sand ditches in golf courses. That's not in the song, but because there's so many things that I just I didn't fit in. I just feel like I kind of picked what I wanted to like what would help me go through this. So I would say if you were going to start a song and you wanted to write about something that you're going through, I would say pick a theme, whatever the theme is. Homelessness, abandonment, whatever it may be. It might just be like struggling to wake up, whatever it is, and just picking the things that you don't like about doing it. Because this was something that I didn't like talk about. I didn't like to talk about sleeping next to bakeries form. I didn't like to talk about any of that, but I love talking through it for music. I feel like that was what I love to do. So I feel like finding things you don't like to necessarily speak about, which might be hard to speak about, and then just putting it into a song form. For me, that's what helped. So yeah, I would encourage you to try that. Even if you don't end up, I guess, like releasing it publicly, I feel like just for like good, just good for yourself to be able to just create something and store it in the files. Yeah. Yeah.
I have another question if nobody else has got one.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your thoughts on that stereotype of hip hop glorifying violence or negativity. Because just thinking about your story, and you're talking about these things that were like a real struggle and are quite jarring, but at the same time, you could think of hip hop as just people telling their story and being real. So do you feel like hip hop gets a bad rap of glorifying things when really it's just talking about what's happening for people?
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good example. When I went to the World Championships of Performing Arts, I didn't know what to expect. This was a weird thing. I didn't know what to expect. I performed. There was this is like 63 other countries or something that come together in Los Angeles, and there's like different categories. But just specifically on the rap category, there was countries that like there was like hundreds of people that perform. I would say out of the rap thing, basically 99% of what people were talking about that were talking about like, you know, yeah, drugs and money and things like that. And then I came up and then I performed a song about my life, and I feel like people just, that's sort of something that and I know I got interviewed after, and I said, and someone asked me that question, I was like, I can't relate to that. I can't relate to, you know, that sort of drugs and sort of that fast cars sort of stuff. That's sort of something that I just can't relate to. I just wanted to write music that I related to, and it's not really something I think about. It's just something that when I write music, it just comes out with my experiences. Yeah. So I don't really have an answer as to why I don't do that, but yeah, I do feel like hip hop glorifies that a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any more music coming out? Like, what have you been writing a lot during quarantine, or?
Yeah, a lot. I've been writing a lot. Today actually was my first day back for like a long time. Because obviously all the performances got cancelled, everything like that. Today was my first back that I actually got to travel outside of my house to the city, to the convention center to record something, which was still live streamed from there. But yeah, I've been writing a lot. I do have new music coming out like in the next month. Also, yeah. Yeah, so new music is coming out. Yeah.
Where do we find it?
It will be online. It will be I feel like all my social media things just D Minor official, but like it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music just on the D Minor. I don't know exactly what, I mean, the song's still a work in process. I was speaking today with Dom just regarding what direction the song's taking, but yeah, just there's so much stuff to write about. I feel like there's like so many people. I know I collaborate with a lot of artists sometimes, and they always say like, what do we write about? Like, what are we gonna write? And I'm like, there's so much stuff to write about. I feel like, especially like now, I want to create a song that's sort of like, now's the perfect time to create a song about like freedom and sort of yeah, knowing that people are alone and going through hard times. Yeah, I feel like everything that happens. I know when the bushfires came through, I wrote a song about bushfires. And I feel like there's always something, I always like to write about something that's sort of going on at the moment. So yeah, there'll be music coming out soon.
That's good.
Yeah.
We still have 10 minutes. So is there anyone else who has any questions or anything?
I have a question that's not related to songwriting, but maybe one of you guys like have a song that you're releasing. I'm putting out a song on May 23rd, and it's the first one that I've ever put up on Spotify and actually like push. So I've had songs up on YouTube and like more acoustic kind of stuff. This song is not acoustic. It's very much like not Billie Eilish, but it's kind of like Billie Eilish cross Hosier. That's the feel that I was going for. And kind of finding a new fan base, because the stuff that I do at the moment is acoustic. And I'm finding like the right places to push it. So, you know, different people I can reach out to. And yeah, if you have any tips for releasing a song, what were your experiences like?
I have a few tips. I feel like for me, when I released Concrete Pillow, I wanted, like, I feel like I sent it to like everyone and like basically, yeah, everyone, but it wasn't like I think I was speaking about this earlier, that it's not just to like, check this out. It's sort of like, yeah, I had like, I even like email. If you go onto this website, I think it's called Radio Box or something like that. I can find it out. I think it might be Radio Box. And what it is that it has every single radio station, like mainstream and community radio station, like in Australia. I'm pretty sure there's a worldwide option as well. I just literally, like, it takes time. Like, it takes a lot of time, and like this just doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't even happen.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
I was
But,
like, I have 5 days. Let's get this out into the world. Number 1.
yeah, well, Concrete Pillow hit, I think, number 11 on the charts, and that was just because I just kept pushing it. I had this generic email, but I would kind of customize it to like say people's names and stuff. So basically, my email would say, this is D Minor. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I just released a song called Concrete Pillow, which speaks a bit about homelessness. It features Ali Simpson. And then I would say the fact in it, I said there's about 10,000 homeless young people on the streets every night. If you feel like this song is a good fit for your station, hit me back. So just sort of something short like that. Because I feel like people might respond a bit more and they did. I feel like people did respond more if they're like, oh, cool. It's whatever it may, and that whatever your song is about, it may not be about that, but I'm just saying it's cool to have some sort of bit more than just here's my song, check it out. Share something personal about you. I wrote this song while I was going through divorce, whatever. Yeah.
Yes, my
So
divorce
like
hit me
just
really
sharing
tough.
not that you are, but
The 10.
but yes,
All my kids.
sharing something.
I don't
Yeah.
have any kids,
So
but I have
sharing
some
something
houseplants.
So yeah, it's important to for me to share something personal. I feel like people can connect a lot more. Yeah, and that's what I did. And I just spent like hours, like a few hours a day, like not maybe like an hour a day, if that, just to like post. Just to post and share. I mean, share with people that you think would be beneficial. Yeah, and if you got close friends, which people do, just ask them to share it. Say yes. You reckon you can check out my song and support me? Yeah.
What was it like to get a
I think
song
that's.
on the radio? Oh, sorry, everyone go. Go.
I was just going to add, I think that's such good advice in your email to add a bit of context, because your story is also so important, and then it gives somebody an angle if they're going to promote your song. It's not just like here's someone's music. It's like they can be part of the conversation on homelessness, and it gives them some material to work with.
Yeah, and you know what helped a lot? I had a press release for the 2 songs, and this press release talked a bit about everything about the song, and I sent that to them, so that sort of took out the work for them. All they had to do was just kind of read this media press release and say, blah blah. And I feel like because people don't really it just saves them doing work. A lot of people don't really want the work if it's going to give them extra work. So just sending it to a radio and say everything's here, and the covers here, the songs here, the media releases here. This is what the song is about. This is going and then say this is what's going on. This happens to so much people or whatever. It's cool. People can relate.
Excellent advice. So Libby, press release. Have a think about a press release.
Yeah, get a press release.
I will.
You can even get. I'm pretty sure they must have them templates online for press releases. Just get press release is good for putting a song. Yeah.
And Libby, would you like to come along next week and perform your song at the beginning of our session? We always have a little performance slot.
Can I? Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Look at that networking going on.
We can duet. I haven't done a Zoom duet before, but hey, maybe we can make it happen. Who knows?
Our guest next week will be Chang, so you could always speak to him about doing a duet.
Let's do. Okay. There's something in the pipelines here. Thanks for letting me know. Awesome.
Did you have a question?
Me? Yeah. So, what was it like to get your song played on the radio and in the top charts? Was that really crazy?
Yeah, it was. That's I probably didn't even talk about that, but that's probably one of my highlights as well. A lot of the time, I would just jump in the car. I'd be driving for a couple minutes, and it would come on. It was on rotation for mainstream radio, during that Christmas period of time as well. And it's cool. I feel you feel that's when I felt a little bit of what I'm doing is kind of working. Doing the emails, emailing them, and then I would usually follow up with a phone call a week later or something if they're in Australia. Or a few days later. I wouldn't leave it a week, a few days later, and just say, hey, just wondering if you got my email. Especially for the mainstream radios, I used to do that. And then every little step you take that's further, then that's sort of like that's just sort of something that you kind of have under your belt. That's more and more, and then you get to and then you might have someone that would want to like represent you, like a manager or whatever. And then that helps a lot as well. But yeah, it was good, crazy experience, being able to do that. Yeah. Like, for example, you know what, actually about networking, I just remember this. Like sending that email out, I last year I got to go to the ARIAs and attend the ARIAs, and I was like, oh, and it was a crazy experience. It was crazy. And I was like, what can I do to like, people were messaging me saying, what are you going to wear to the ARIAs? Because I didn't realize this is a thing. People like do a thing you wear. And I ended up messaging a lot of these. So I even used the power of, I guess, networking to then message like clothing, like places. And a lot of these places hit me up, like Converse. They hit me
That's
up.
so cool.
They sent me out shoes, and like Zara sent me out thing. And like if I was to say that, to see how like that's cool, but like anyone could do that. Like anyone could just message and say, hey, I have a song. I released a song about homelessness. I get to I'm going to the ARIAs. Blah blah. If you feel like I would be a good fit for your clothing, it's sort of like I feel like being able to, I guess, say the right words as well, and share a bit of your personal touch. Networking can work in all areas, not just songwriting. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What did you end up wearing? Did you end up wearing Zara and Converse?
You know what? I had a lot of options because I sent like so many emails out, and then they all came back, and this was like a last minute thing. Tara Cash ended up sending me stuff. Converse sent me stuff, but I ended up wearing them because Zara sent me like a whole outfit, so I just went with that. But yeah,
We love
networking. I feel like networking is powerful, and you can use it like for everything. Like you're only going to get a no. Like so why not do it?
So much good advice.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you.
I just winged this. I wrote a whole bunch of things down, and for some reason it's just not loading. So I just winged this.
We sort of winged this as well.
Well, I thank you guys for having me.
We had
Thank you
heaps
for
of
joining us.
No, that's so good. Is this like a weekly thing for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, cool. Are you guys all in Sydney? Everyone's all over the place. Hey, Melbourne.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
Melbourne.
Wow.
Melbourne,
Oh, this is cool.
should we wrap up with some mad props?
Let's do it.
I will mad props Izzy and Shakira for doing an awesome job, and I love the fact that we ran out early but you guys kept it going and you came up with your own questions. That was really good.
Shakira.
Oh, thanks.
Mad
is so
props, Shakira.
Huh?
Mad props to you because you kind of took the reins today because I haven't been feeling the best. So love you.
Thanks. Mad props to you,
Props to
Dima.
both of you. Girls.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, mad props. Thank you for coming on and taking the time out of your day to give
No,
us a chance. Thank
That's
you.
all good. Mad props to each one of you guys for actually like being interested in listening to and being willing to take on knowledge. I know that that's also a good trait to have, being able to take on knowledge and be teachable. So yeah, thank you guys.
Teachable equals talent.
That's
Is that a Pinterest quote?
No, it's actually it's
acronym.
it's an acronym for STAR, one of the programs Mad does.
Even better.
And thank you for the questions, you guys. Mad props to you guys for coming up with the questions and preparing things beforehand. Appreciate that.
Also, mad props for Emerald, just organising everything.
Yes.
Yeah, mad props and thank you for having me.
Reminding me.
Thank you. Mad props to Gabro for your original. That was amazing at the start of the session.
Yes, yeah, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
that
want
was
to have.
amazing. I tuned in towards the end of that. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, I saw your name pop up. I was like, okay, do I like say hi? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just gonna go.
I want to have that confidence, Gab.
Does everyone sing? I know Libby, Gabro is singers. What, Shakira, are you a singer? Right? Yeah. Because I haven't heard any, I'm not sure what everyone else does.
Yeah, and so it's easy, but we don't really perform.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not? Just
I have more confidence dancing than I do singing.
Yeah, for me it's confidence.
yeah,
Yeah.
confidence for me was a massive thing. I actually stuffed up on stage the first few times I ever performed. Like I literally stuffed up. And my first performance was at this kind of like big metro theater, which was wild. And I spun out and I just stuffed up. This was a few years ago. But and at that point I was like, oh, do I stop? I was like, what am I doing? But yeah, I feel like just it's something you just gotta just keep practicing. Confidence will come.
One thing I learned as a dancer is it's always worse to run off stage than it is to keep going, even if it's not the original.
It's true. Yeah. Well, you know, when I stuffed up, I just made up random stuff. I don't even know if it made sense. I can't even think of what I said. But no one knew the song, so no one even, they probably thought it was hard. Yeah, but so just keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
Mad props to Livy for coming along for the first time.
Hey, thank you.
You were obviously a T Minor fan, and it was really nice that you brought that like love for his music into the session.
Thank you. Well, I think mad props to D Minor for coming aboard and sharing your journey. I think it's really rare for artists to be so open about behind the scenes as well. I think sometimes artists can put up this front of like, this is my art and not really talk about it. But I think that's part of the joy of being an artist, is that you get to share a little bit of your journey. So thank you. And thanks to Emerald. Lovely to meet you. I haven't met you before, so but Dom said lovely things about you, so it's nice to see you.
Cool. You too. I'll message you after this about performing.
Awesome. Thanks.
Oh, well, thank you so much, D Minor. That was really great. Lots of really valuable stuff in there.
Thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.